Welcome to Left, Right, Center, where we are covering Colorado politics first on CBS News Colorado. I'm political specialist Shaun Boyd. We continue our focus on the Denver mayor's race this week, and I am joined in studio by a candidate who has been involved in several major citywide and statewide initiatives. Mike Johnston spent the last 3 years as president of the nonprofit Gary Community Ventures before stepping down to run for mayor. Before that, he served as state senator for 8 years, passing bills to secure in-state tuition for Dreamers and universal background checks for gun purchases, among other legislation. Mike's background is in education. He has worked as a principal and teacher and graduated Harvard with a degree in education policy, as well as Yale Law School. Mike is married with 3 kids. Mike, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Left, Right,
Thanks
Center.
for having me.
Yeah. So let's start with, talked about these big initiatives that you have spearheaded. The most recent being Proposition 123, the affordable housing ballot measure that passed in November. Puts $290 million from the general fund into an affordable housing fund. Some municipalities are concerned, though, that they might not be able to qualify for this money because there are some pretty stringent requirements that are put around this. Does the legislature maybe need to tweak some of this, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think that, when we looked out at the challenges the state was facing, it's very similar to what we're seeing in Denver, which is right now in Denver tonight, 50% of Denver residents can't afford to live in Denver tonight. That means they're paying more than they can afford. So we know what we need to do is a couple things. One is we needed public resources to be able to build more affordable housing. Statewide, Prop 123 will help us build about 100,000 more affordable units in the next 10 years. But we also needed the partnership of local governments to help do the work to get these units permitted. We know right now it can be 18, 24 months wait to get affordable housing done, and that people spend hours and hours and months debating it, never actually build it. And so what we wanted to say was for local governments to do their part, they need to have a fast track to increase permitting and approve affordable housing more efficiently, and to make sure they set targets for the actual number of units they're going to deliver for their voters and actually deliver those units. I think people were frustrated that a lot of grant money gets thrown around, but nothing ever actually gets built. Here we said we want to make sure these units get built and that we actually know people get lower rents and that cities speed up their process for approval. So for sure, when I'm mayor of Denver, we will hit those timelines and be able to use those dollars, and most of the cities I talked to are eager to do the same.
You've proposed creating 25,000 additional permanently affordable housing units in Denver. Many of them are going to be on city-owned land, I think is your proposition here. But since enacting the inclusionary zoning policy, Denver has seen multifamily dwellings drop.
Yeah.
Are you worried that that's going to continue?
I think we took a very different approach in Proposition 123, which is what these dollars do is allow us to build these 25,000 units that would stay permanently affordable. What that means is no one pays more than 30% of their income to rent. And that $25,000 number is not random. That's the total number of teachers, nurses, firefighters, social workers, public servants who can't afford to live in the city currently. And so I think it doesn't require just public land. The benefit is because these dollars come in through CHAFA, the housing authority, they allow us to build units at much more affordable cost because you don't have an out-of-state banker or investor saying, we were going to invest in this housing project, but we want a 20% return on our money. That's what jacks up the rents. Because these are coming through the housing authority, it allows you to keep rents lower naturally without additional subsidies. So I think that's why it's going to be able to do this at a much faster rate and a much more sustainable path.
I want to talk about a related issue, homelessness.
Yes.
So you propose building these micro communities, the tiny homes and some converted hotels for the homeless to live in, and provide, I think, some health services around them, some mental health services. First, I guess, would the people who live in the micro communities, would they live for free? Would the city take care of all the expenses of those? And would that be permanent? Yeah. And what if neighbors say, look, I don't want one of those micro communities in my community? Yeah,
I mean, this is, I think, the most pressing issue facing the city. And I've spent the last 2 years traveling the country and looking at what cities are doing that works and what doesn't work. And that was also part of our Proposition 123 proposal, is it includes dollars for this. And there are a couple things we know work. One is we know that right now, part of the reasons why we have people living in encampments is there is no housing units for them to live in. And it's not practical to say, or let's build everyone a single-family home, because that costs $500,000 and takes 3 years. These micro-communities do a couple things. You get people immediate access to safe, stable housing. It's a half-acre site On those sites, you can then push in all the wraparound services people need. So you can do addiction treatment, you can do mental health support, you can do workforce training, and it's much easier to provide them in concentrated settings. And finally, it works because it helps recognize the way community is built among folks that are unhoused, which is if you're living in an encampment with 8 people and you come and offer one person a unit across town, they either are not likely to go or not likely to succeed. If you take that entire community and move it as a community to a safe, stable place where there's security and wraparound services and supports, we know the results are far, far better. And because they're small sections of land, it's half-acre sites, much easier to find the sites around the city. This is where we can use Denver-owned public land that are vacant lots and others. You don't put them in the middle of residential neighborhoods or next to elementary schools, but you can find places around the city that we've been able to do. They're close to light rail or transit, but out of the way of high-density residential.
Do you think homelessness, your plan suggests that it's a problem of a lack of housing?
I think it's a problem of a number of different social structures that have failed us. One is a failure of mental health support at scale, a fail of drug policy at scale, and a failure of housing. We know all those things are overlapping. You have to do them together in a way that provides people the sense of community and stability. And then I think the evidence is clear. People actually get back on their feet and get back up into positive contributors to society.
I'm going to talk about the other top issue in the race is crime. As you know, most of the criminal justice reform comes down at the state capitol. And one of the bills, one of the controversial ones that they're considering this session, would allow local governments to open safe injection sites. Is that something that you support?
I don't support it. I don't think the data is clear that we need to be, the second city in America to try this, or that that's going to help us close the path on getting people access to services and to treatment. I think what we want to do is focus on getting people into treatment who are addicts, and that means both help connecting them to services at places like our micro communities. I've also focused on taking 2 pods of the county jail and converting those, one into a long-term mental health psychiatric facility and the second to addiction treatment, so people that need actual treatment can go, can get healthy, can get back on their feet, and then can transition back to a place to live with a job and stable support.
Under current law, 1 gram or less of fentanyl is a misdemeanor. Does that need to change?
Yeah, I think that we've made a mistake in making it easier to access fentanyl and decriminalizing it. I think that we know that when we did that, that led to massive increases in fentanyl overdoses here in the city. When California did it, we followed their path and got the same results. I think what we want to do instead is focus, and particularly with fentanyl. Fentanyl is just playing Russian roulette. Every night you take it, there's a good chance you're going to die. So I think what we don't want to do is allow people to stay in a tent freezing to death using fentanyl and putting themselves at risk of dying. We want to intervene. We want to get those folks access to treatment. Those that will voluntarily come to treatment, they will do that. Those that will come to the micro communities have treatment available and accessible. And those folks that are committing crimes, but they're linked to their addiction needs, can now actually get services that would be really helpful to them to recover.
In a jail setting.
Yeah, that's right.
The state is receiving $13.2 billion in clean energy investments, you've probably heard, through the Inflation Reduction Act. How would you spend whatever share of that Denver gets to meet its clean energy goals?
Yeah, Denver ought to be able to be a leader around the country on how we move to green energy much faster. There are a couple things I would do. One is we want to electrify our buildings more quickly. That helps take us off of natural gas and puts us onto renewables. That includes residences, that includes homes. We also want to electrify more of our vehicles. That means our vehicle fleet as a city. It means providing incentives for community members to retrofit old buildings, commercial or residential, that we can update with newer furnaces and double pane windows and things that both will lower our costs long term and will help protect the climate. So I think that would be the big priorities for me, is electrify buildings, electrify cars, retrofit, expand things like community solar gardens that provide more alternative sources of energy that don't require fossil fuels.
Let's talk about education, one of your favorite subjects. Some mayors oversee their school district. Should Denver do that?
Yeah, I don't think that's a step we need to go to at this juncture. And that takes a constitutional change. It's a long process, and I think would be highly combative in a moment when we want to try to unify folks around getting real progress at the city. I do think that the district is struggling now, and I think that we have a school board that's divisive and has not risen to the task that Denver voters want them to. So I think there are things we can do as a city to help strengthen that partnership. I would expand funding for after-school and summer school programming for kids that we know help them find their passions and purpose and keep them out of what can be negative peer groups. I would also expand our mental health resources through Denver Health, so we have real counselors that are present at the high school level for kids that we know have needs. And I would work with schools that want to get school resource officers back in their buildings. I think it's ideological and unfounded for the school district to say no school that ever wants a school resource officer can get one. If school principals and school students and teachers and families are saying they want protection, those schools should be able to have access to that.
One of the controversial issues in Denver right now is around lifting the conservation easement on the Park Hill Golf Course.
Yeah.
Before that, against that?
You know, I spent 8 years representing that neighborhood and had an office up there for 10 years. And the two things I would hear most often from neighbors were worried about the increasing price of housing. We're being pushed out. And this is the largest food desert in the metro area. There's no grocery store. And so they've been pushing really for, want a grocery store, we want affordable housing, and we want a public park. I've read all the easements. I've read the contracts. I'm a yes on it as a voter. I probably would have structured the deal differently if I were the mayor, but I, as a voter, just get to vote yes or no. Because for me, it's not an either or. It's a both and or a neither nor. Either a yes, you get the grocery store, you get a park, and you get affordable housing. If you vote no, you actually get back just an 18-hole golf course, which I don't think anybody needs at this juncture. So I'll be a yes because I'd take those three over nothing.
We have time for one last question.
Yes.
So what do you consider the top 3 positions you'll appoint a person to in your administration? And should you win, would you consider any of your opponents for cabinet positions?
You know, I would consider folks that I'm running with. I think there are a lot of distinguished, thoughtful leaders who have served this city in important ways, and I would certainly consider them. I think the most important things I'm going to oversee are going to be obviously public safety. It's going to be homelessness. I've named the idea that I'll have a senior advisor that coordinates homelessness efforts all across the departments, and it'll be housing. You know, I think housing, crime, and homelessness are our most important issues, and that getting those 3 leaders right will be the most important decisions I make, and making sure we can both cultivate talent from within Denver and find people all across the state and the country who are the best and brightest, who want to help make Denver be the America's best city. I think we have a path to do that, and we want to get the right talent to help us make it possible.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in. It's great to see you.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you having me back.
Up next, I'm joined by our analysts, Dick Wadhams and Mike Dino. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Left, Right, Center. Joining me are analysts, Republican Dick Wadhams and Democrat Mike Dino. So you guys heard my interview with Mike Johnston. What, if anything, sets him apart?
Well, his grasp of the issues, Shaun. I mean, he's been around, and I think he's a very thoughtful guy, and I think that came through in the interview, that he's thought about these issues, and he has some very concrete and very specific plans on all these issues. I think that does set Mike apart. Not that the others don't have some of that, but I think Mike in particular, he just has that gravitas on these issues.
Mike, did you like Mike?
Yeah, well, I concur. He's a very likable guy. I think the other thing is he comes at these issues from a lot of different perspectives. I mean, he was a state senator, and he has that base still from where he was a state senator. That's very helpful in this election, considering that none of the candidates have over double digits in the polls. He also ran for governor, U.S. Senate, and so he's able to look at this from a lot of different views, and it's really clear why he has a good grasp of the issues, is because he's talked about them a long time from a lot of different views.
And as I said when I interviewed him, he's led a lot of big initiatives, you know, citywide, statewide, including Proposition 123, the affordable housing ballot measure. It would seem to be a good legacy, but, you know, some municipalities have said this is just way too complicated. I don't know if we're going to qualify. Does the things need to change with this, maybe, you know, at the legislative level? Yeah,
I think they may have to tweak it, which the legislature can do with a ballot measure like that. Dick and I were talking about it before we got on air. I mean, this was an issue during the campaign, the complexity of how to qualify for this money. And I think the candidates are talking about how Denver, particularly, one of the cities that needs more affordable housing, has challenges and barriers to getting more affordable housing. And that's one of the things that Prop 123 is clear about, is that you have to keep growing it. And if you can't keep growing it, you can't keep getting the money.
Right. I still think it is a good place to be able to say, I spearheaded, I led an affordable housing initiative, right? I mean, took some action in that, and that passed. Oh,
I agree, Shaun. And the other thing is, I'm glad they put all these restrictions and requirements in there, and I'll tell you why. Because too often, government just hands a boatload of money to these governments, local governments, and say, go spend it. And I think there should be some control, and there should be some goals set. Now, will it need to be tweaked? I'm sure it will. But no, I laud Mike for putting that in that provision.
It basically says you got to have some skin in the game, local governments. Yeah. So this is interesting. Out of the last 40 years, Denver has had a mayor of color for 32 of those years. Does that impact a candidate like a Mike Johnston?
It possibly, you know, could have an effect. I think the other thing that's looming out there is Denver's never had a woman as mayor. And clearly we have some women running that have very good resumes, very good experience. I think that'll be a bigger factor when voters look at it. That may be in the back of their mind.
Dick?
You know, Shaun, I think the issues, once again, are so intense and so in people's faces that they don't care if white, black, male, female, Hispanic, they're going to go for the person who can address those issues. And I think maybe in other elections that there was, you know, Federico Pena, I think that was a landmark election, first Hispanic mayor of Denver. Wellington Webb, the first black mayor of Denver. But I think by now, and Mike's right, I mean, we've never had a woman. But I'll tell you what, I think voters are so concerned about the future and how bad things are in the city of Denver. They don't care about those things. They care about somebody to get it done.
Right, who's got the best answers is what they're looking for. One of the mayoral candidates, State Representative Leslie Herod, drew some unwanted press this week in interviews with Axios and the Denverites. Some former legislative aides of Herod say that she's been mean, she's been degrading, she's made them cry regularly. Is this something that you think hurts her?
I think it's a character issue, Shaun. Yeah, I've worked for a lot of elected officials and candidates, and I've been very fortunate. They were all good people, and they were good to the people around them. But I also know of a couple that weren't. And by the way, this is not a partisan thing. There are conservatives and liberals who were mean to and abusive of their staffs. I think these were very insightful articles this week, and I think that people should pay attention to this, because if you treat your staff badly, I think that's a character flaw. I really do.
I mean, there were aides that defended Leslie as well in these articles.
Well, I think no candidate wants stories like that. And I think each candidate that's running for mayor probably has a story like that. It is, when you're in these important positions, you have a lot of people that come in and volunteer. I mean, I certainly, when I ran a political campaign, I had one volunteer turn on me and wrote a letter to Mayor Webb. And so, you know, folks get an impression of how you should be when you're in that role. And sometimes people look at it unfairly. And in this case, as you pointed out, there's people that like how Leslie's style plays out. And you're always going to find that in the political world.
Yeah, for sure. According to two public polls and fundraising, former Denver Chamber CEO Kelly Brough leads in this race. So you would think being a front runner is a good place to be, but you know, Mike, that's not been the case in Denver mayor races. It's certainly not in the runoffs.
Yeah. Well, being a former campaign manager, as Dick has been, I mean, those leads would make us very nervous. Nobody's over 10%. I mean, you can't take any comfort in what the polls have said so far. I mean, so many undecided. The ballots come out next week. Oh, crazy. Man. If I was running a campaign, it would be the end of me. And so I don't envy the candidates in their campaigns and what they got to do. Nobody has any type of lead that makes them a front runner.
What is up with that, though? I mean, there have been plenty of forums and debates by now.
I think the electorate is restless, and they don't see it yet. They will. They'll come around. By the way, Shaun, I mean, of all the campaigns I ran, most of them were underdogs. Much more fun to be the underdog. It's harder to be the front runner. In fact, the one campaign that I did where Hank Brown was the front runner, and nobody expected him to lose. And that was actually in some ways tougher than the other ones, because you're open for more criticism. Nobody expects you to do anything but just roll through. I like underdog better.
Yeah, so do I.
Don't you wonder what voter turnout is going to be like in this?
Yeah, it may not amount to much in the general election, but I think it gets back to Dick's point. People are really trying to figure out who has the capability of being in this office. Yeah. And at this point, it's hard to figure that out.
So switching gears, Vice President Kamala Harris made a stop in Colorado this week to talk about climate change. As CBS News Colorado was first to report last week, the state is going to receive $13.2 billion in clean energy investment from the Inflation Reduction Act. This money is being dispersed around the country. So why come to Colorado?
I don't know. I mean, I think they're putting her in very safe environments right now, Shaun, because she has been nothing short of a disaster as vice president. And I think that because of that, they're finding some very safe events. And frankly, Colorado is not competitive in the presidential race right now, so she could do no damage here. And so, you read more and more where Democrats are concerned more about Joe Biden's age, and they're also worried about if he doesn't run again, would she be the nominee? And you cannot escape that. She did fine when she was here. She didn't do anything bad, which by her standards is a victory. But I thought it was a non-event, really.
Well, climate is certainly something good to talk about, and especially good when you can come into a state and say you're getting $13.2 billion in clean energy investment.
And Shaun, that's the big thing. I do think the president has been concerned that he's not getting any credit for the huge amount of money that he was behind for infrastructure and the Inflation Reduction Act, that nobody gives him any credit for getting those laws through the Congress last year. And so he's certainly sent the vice president out, as well as a lot of his other cabinet and himself also, to say, hey, we did this. And you should know we did this, and get some credit for it.
You know what she should have done is gone to Ohio and talked to those people who were still dealing with that train derailment.
Well, Pete Buttigieg did that.
After being browbeaten to go. I honestly, the administration has so mishandled that, and I think that would have been a better use of her time. But that's me.
So. It is no secret Republicans have been losing support in Colorado, but a report this week shows just how much support they've been losing. Yeah. Dick, not good news. The number of active registered Republicans has dropped by more than 10,000 since November, between November and February. Democrats lost about 5,000 during that time, and unaffiliated voters, no surprise, increased by 11,000. Right. But I just began. Are there going to be any Republicans left by the 2024 election?
Hopefully not.
You know?
I might be the token Republican of that. You know, Shaun, our party's got a big problem right now, and the problem is Donald Trump. And as long as he defines our party, and it's getting worse. I mean, this week he talked about how he would be the president of retribution. What kind of leader is that? That if I'm elected president, I'm going to go after all my political enemies, Republican and Democrat. And every time I see something like that, I think the party gets buried a little more. And until he's off the stage, I've said it a million times, we will not be able to pull out of that. And I think that 10,000 reduction is more evidence of it.
Democrats lost 5,000. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that the younger generations are not wedded to the parties anymore. I mean, Dick and I certainly are of a generation that, you went to party activities, you were part of your House district Democrats like I was. And that's not happening anymore. I'm going down to Mullen to speak to my niece's high school class about this, and I'm going to hopefully learn from them and say, what's the matter with the parties that you don't really want to be a part of them?
Right. Get signed up.
Yeah. My mom, she drugged me in to get signed up. I don't think parents are doing that anymore.
Look where you are today.
Yeah, exactly. I'm an analyst.
And we're so happy for that. All right. Thanks for watching Left, Right, Center. We'll see you next week.